this video, we're going to be focusing on presenting data, which forms task 2C of the controlled assessment for components. Make sure you've had a look at the previous videos if you just joined. It would be really helpful just so you know what the context of this of these videos are. So over here for task 2C, we're looking at creating tables and how we can present data and how we can organize data. So again, I'm not going to talk as much. I'm just going to leave this. This is for reference. I would recommend you try and get hold of the data that I am actually using here just for practice purposes. Most of what we're seeing here is going to be very relevant to the controlled assessment that you'll be doing regardless of the scenario. Obviously, the data may be slightly different, but most of the things that you are having a look at on this video are things that you would need to be doing. So we're looking at organizing data here. You can organize it alphabetically, A to Z, Z to A. And partly why we do something like this is that it becomes a lot easier to kind of read, especially when it's in alphabetical order. So here we've got, or where we're using pivot tables. And again, if you feel that at any point I'm moving too fast, do press pause or come back to the position again. And again, on the left-hand side, okay, do excuse the tannoy. I am actually recording this while in school. So on the left-hand side, you can see that there's some information about what pivot tables are actually used for. They're actually a really good tool to use when you're trying to analyze data. So here we've got the use of sparklines. And below we can see some what the result would look like once you follow those steps. So again, these sparklines are a way to represent data as well. Now for the controlled assessment, you may be asked to use sparklines, you may be asked to use a different way to represent data, but again, you would, depending on the type of data that you're representing, you'd have to choose the most appropriate representation or way to represent the data. So here we have the use of pie charts and just some steps on how we can create pie charts. It's worthwhile using the recommended charts as they would usually recommend the best possible one that you can use depending on the data that you want to represent. Now, pie charts are good to represent percentages. So again, if you're working with percentages, it might be a good option to use pie charts. So in this example here, we can see the number of holidays in each location as a percentage. So we've got Devon and Cornwall, which is 28.89% as one of the highest, and then comes in at Lake District. So representing percentages works really well with pie charts. We have the use of clustered bar charts. And again, very similar to how we can create those. And we can see that we are representing the total income from the accommodation, and we're using a clustered bar chart for that. It just helps with comparing the income from different destinations. And what you might need to do is at the end of this task, you might need to just put in all the charts that you've used. Be sure to label the charts as well, because that's really, really important. So, for example, we can see where we've got the total income on the bottom left-hand side. We've got a chart title which says total income. On the left-hand side, we have the income. And at the bottom, we have the destinations or the location, which are color-coded, and they're represented with the colored bars that you see on that chart as well. So just make sure you always remember to label your charts. Is really, really important. Examiners or the exam board will need to know what they're looking at. Okay. Again, if you need to go back to any of these charts again, please do so, and just make sure you pause it just so you can read it and have a go at some of these charts. You could quite possibly be using all of these different charts for the scenario that you will be working in, but mostly you would probably have to use most of them. But again, any questions or any comments, do drop them in the box below. Thank you for watching. Hit subscribe and do like the video if you found it quite helpful. The next set of